we get started this morning, we just want to look in the camera and we want to say welcome to our friends at Riverbend and D-Berry this morning. We want you guys to know that you're loved, you're respected, and we are the church together with you. And so, hey, make some noise this morning for our friends, Riverbend and D-Berry. I want to read you a scripture this morning, and here's the deal. I have a skosh of the ADHD, okay? Just a little bit. I was not diagnosed as a kid, but there is no doubt that I have it. And so when I read the Bible, I have to read it in a way that it becomes interesting to me. And here's the deal. Words matter. Your words matter. If you don't believe me, husbands, go home, say something stupid to your wife, see how it works out. But your words matter. So if you got your Bible this morning, let's hold your Bibles up. How many of you got your Bibles this morning? Thank you, sir, for charging your Bible this morning. I'm sure Jesus is excited about that. Colossians chapter 2, we're going to read out of verse 7. It reads this. It says, let your roots grow down into him, and let your lives be built on him. Then your faith will grow strong in the truth you were taught, and you will overflow with thankfulness. The key word in this passage is let. It's highlighted. It is mentioned twice. Let your roots grow down into him. Let your lives be built on him. And when I look at words, because words matter, the word let means that I have a choice. Okay? I have a choice. I could have woke up this morning and said, you know what? I'm going to wear skinny jeans and a flannel shirt to church today in the middle of summer. But thank God I have a choice that I couldn't have to do that. And God let me wear something else. But in this, you have a choice. So if I'm going to let my roots grow down to him, guess what? I can let my roots grow down into something else. I can let my roots grow down into anger, bitterness, resentment, fear, all those things. And I have a great test for you to understand what it is that your roots are growing into. If you want to know where your heart is rooted, all you have to do is hang out with other people's children. If you hang out with other people's children, you will realize really quick where your heart is rooted. Not your own kids, because we know your kids are perfect. My kids, I have two. I have a 9-year-old daughter named Shelby and a 12-year-old son named Mitchell, and they are perfect, except for the time they put the cat in the freezer and almost burnt the house down. With those two exceptions, they are perfect. Other people's kids, however, will show me where my heart is. You've all been there. You've been at the holy land of groceries, the Walmart. You're searching for whatever you need. 2 aisles over, there is a kid going absolutely ham with a unicorn mask on his head, knocking stuff off the shelves. The mother looks frazzled, and you look at her in your Christian judgmental face. If that was my kids, I would beat him 6 ways from Saturday. I wouldn't do it on Sunday because I'm way too holy to do something on the Sabbath. Meanwhile, your kid is over in the other aisle opening up every jar of Nutella and eating it with its finger. I am a bivocational pastor. I have another job, more so of like a real job, but I teach. I am a preschool and elementary school Spanish and physical education teacher. Yeah. Bet you didn't look at that. I bet you didn't see that one coming. And here's the truth, is I have the privilege to spend more time with other people's kids than they spend with their own kids, and I spend more time with other people's kids than I spend with my own kids, and therefore every day I get the test of where my heart is rooted. Here's how it worked in April of this year. I am teaching a kindergarten class. Any kindergarten teachers in the house this morning? They are going extinct. Like somebody along the way was like, is there any dinosaurs in the house this morning? And there were none. Next thing you know, they were extinct. Same thing with the kindergarten teacher, because they are special human. Anybody have a kindergarten student in the house? Hey, listen, you need to pray for your kindergarten teacher, okay? Because they are a special mix that do miracles like Jesus, have the patience of Job and the heart of Mother Teresa. I mean, it is a combination that doesn't come around often, as we have seen. And they are going extinct. I'm in my kindergarten class. I am teaching the Spanish to these kids. It goes a little something like this. I walk in the door and I say, hola, ¿cómo estás? Mi nombre es Juan. Because you have to talk like that if you're going to talk Spanish, especially if you're from Trousdale County, Tennessee. Mi nombre es Juan. ¿Qué es el nombre del tour? Oh, hey, su nombre es Devin. Oh, hola, Devin. ¿Cómo estás hoy, amigo? Oh, es bien. Ah, es muy bien. All of you right now are amazed. You're like, oh my gosh, our new children's guy's bilingual. Not so much. Anyways, I'm teaching this class, and here's the thing about kindergartners. You cannot let them see you sweat. You cannot let them see you get distracted. You cannot let them see you fear, because they will attack you like a bunch of rabid meerkats. And so I'm teaching this class, and we're rolling through it, and all of a sudden I have a sharp pain that goes down my right leg. I cannot show them discomfort. I cannot show them fear, but I'm really beginning to freak out about my right leg because I can't remember if it's your left side or your right side that means you're having a stroke. And none of these kids know where the AED is. Finally, the pain becomes so severe that I have to look. I look down at my right leg just to discover that there is a kindergarten girl with fingers the size of tweezers that is individually plucking the leg hairs out of my right leg. Now, I am currently finishing my master's in educational leadership with the hopes of one day being a principal, administrator, headmaster, who knows, the president of the educational system, if that even exists. But nowhere along the way has anybody taught me what to do in this situation. You want to talk about the Educational Act of 1965? I'm your dude. Common Core? I'm your dude. Standardized testing? I'm your dude. Roe v. Wade? I'm your dude. Nobody ever taught me how to handle a kindergartner plucking my leg hairs out. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, honey, things you never thought you would ever say in your life as a 38-year-old man. Honey, we're not going to pull Mr. Coach Carey's leg hairs out today, okay? Okay. She starts doing it again. All of a sudden, I have this thing of like hypothetical hypnosis. You all have it, like what you really want to do but you can't do, so you play it out in your mind. So I'm like, you know what I could do? I'd be like, look, everybody, your parents are coming to pick you up early. Look, it's back. Let's do that again. Look, your parents are coming. Somebody quick, call Nurse Brenda. But here's the deal. I saw that this young girl was like really paying attention. So I asked her. Her name will remain nameless because who knows? Her mom might be sitting in the audience today. And I don't want to disappoint you to understand that your daughter is really a big razor. I was like, are you learning anything? And then she started just like repeating everything that I had said. Like, it was amazing. And then I was like, are you having a good time? And she was so happy. And because I have a deep-rooted love for children, you know what I did? I just let her pull every leg hair I have out on my right leg. I have no hair on my right leg. It's just now starting to grow back. I wish it would grow as fast as the hair on the back of my neck. I guess that comes with age, Jonathan. I don't know. But my right leg hair is now bald. My right leg is now bald. But here's the deal. Like, it is a test of where your heart is rooted. And here's the deal. As we start talking about characteristics of David, all these outward characteristics that we're talking about are a sign of something that is inward in your heart. So what I have rooted in my heart is going to be an outward expression for the world to see, for the world to draw an opinion about, and for them to claim that to be my characteristic. So we're going to look at David, and here's the cool thing about David. I think at the heart of David, I think there was a deep-rooted heart of a child. And some of the characteristics that I begin to see in him are characteristics that I'm seeing in my own children and the children that I interact with daily. And so I think in order to understand who David really was, we have to go back to the beginning. You know, you can look at events in his life. You can look at battles. You can look at even shortcomings. But if you really want to know how God created human beings, can you just take a look at your kids? You can take a look at your kids and you can see the heart of God and the heart of creation. And so we're going to pick up the story. I'm going to try to read it off of the screen because, can I just be honest with you, 11 o'clock service, I've got this thing going on with my left nostril. Every time I look down, stuff just pours out of it. Whole 9 o'clock service, I was reading my Bible, and I mean, it was the most annoying thing ever. Google says it's post-nasal drip. I don't know. So I'm going to read off the screen. We're going to start in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 26. Here it goes. It says, that's 28. Crud. I know. David asked the soldier standing nearby, "What will a man get for killing this Philistine and ending his defiance of Israel? Who is this pagan Philistine anyway, that he is allowed to defy the armies of the living God?" And these men gave David the same reply. They said, "Yes, this is the reward for killing him." Basically what David's saying is like, hey, if I go kill this giant, what do I get? And they're like, hey, you get a lot of money. You don't have to pay taxes. You're going to get to marry some chick. Your life is going to be great. Verse 28 says this. Yes. But when David's older brother Eliab heard David talking to the men, he was angry. "What are you doing here anyways?" he demanded. "What about those few sheep you're supposed to be taking care of? I know about your pride and deceit, and you just want to see the battle." If you read this verse in the Message Bible or the hip-hop version of the hip-hop translation, this is what it says. Instead of your sheep, it says, "that mangy, raggedy flock of sheep." Where I'm from, Trousdale County, you can say anything you want about me, but you don't go and talk about my livestock. But here's the deal. What this reveals to me is this, is that David had a resilience that was born out of restoration. David has a resilience that's birthed out of restoration. I have an older brother. His name is Clay. He is my hero. Our mother passed away when we were 7 years old. And my father did a great job of raising us, but my brother is who I wanted to be. And so everywhere my brother went, I would go. Everywhere everything he did, I wanted to do. And I could only imagine the heartbreak that David feels in this moment. As he steps out into faith, as he steps out wanting to make a difference, as he steps out, obviously, with his own issues. He's probably 17, 18 at the time. And the person that steps out to speak out against him is nobody other than his brother. But what his brother says about him is more revealing than that. He says, hey, I know about your pride. I know about your deceit. Why don't you go take care of that raggedy flock of sheep? All throughout David's life, you see moments of victory, but you also see moments of defeat. But the one characteristic that remains the same is that he has a sense of resilience, and it's because God is actively restoring him. I have a daughter. Her name is Shelby. She is kind of like me. We get bored really easily, and when we get bored, we replace it with nonsense, okay? I got bored one time and decided I wanted to play the banjo. That lasted for a week and a half. The next thing I did is I went and bought 2 ducks and raised them in my garage. It's just how my life works. I get bored, I go find some nonsense thing to do. I think it's normal. Everybody else seems to think it's weird. I seem to think everybody else is weird, so it's normal. My daughter has the same characteristics. One day she wants to be a gymnast. The next day she wants to be a dentist. One day she wants to be a football player. Sometimes she wants to be the president of the United States. Every week's different. About a month ago, she came to me and said, Dad, I want to play travel league softball. I was like, awesome. That's great. 2 weeks ago, you were trying to catch the ball with your face. You know, I'm not really sure you're going to make it, but hey, a good parent takes their kids and let them try out for travel league softball. We take her to this tryout. She actually does pretty good. The coach says, hey, we're going to call you on Friday. We'll let you know we got another tryout. She did really well today. We'll let you know how it goes, and maybe she makes the team, maybe she won't. We'll let you know on Friday. I'm like, cool. Friday comes. I get the phone call from the coach. I can instantaneously tell by the tone of his voice, he doesn't want to be on this call. Hey, John, look, Shelby is a great girl. It's almost like he's breaking up with me. You know, he's like, John, you're a great guy. Shelby is a great girl, and, man, she can play softball. Just not good enough to play for us. So she didn't make the team. Just tell her to keep trying. Maybe next year she can try out. And now I am forced to break this news to my daughter, who went on a hunger strike because we ran out of Pop-Tarts. She doesn't handle rejection very well. So she comes in that afternoon, and I'm like, baby, you need to sit down. Daddy's got some news. Talked to the softball coach today. She lit up. I was like, you didn't make it. She was like, okay. Can I go now? I'm like, yeah. Are you not bothered? No, I'm good. Maybe next year. It was so weird that I had to follow her into her room. Hey, listen. Oh, God, there he goes again. Are you sure You're not mad, you're not like upset, like you're not aggravated. And then she said something that's taught me a lesson. She said these exact words: Dad, I don't have room in my heart to be mad. Like her mother's doing a great job of raising her. Come on, let me tell you. But there's something about children that are resilient. There's something about a child that, you know what, they are resilient, and it is because they understand God a little bit better than I do, I think. And I think they understand the restoration process. You see, David was totally being restored every day of his life by a God that desires nothing but to restore his people. In 2015, now I got a disclaimer. I should have brought this disclaimer in the front end. I spoke at a huge FCA event one time. A kid came down to the front. He's like, Pastor John, that message was amazing. He's like, but you're not a very good preacher. He's like, you're more of a talker. So here's the deal. I'm probably not going to preach to you today, but I'm going to talk a lot to you, okay? 2015, I got this unbelievable opportunity to go to Birmingham, Alabama, and be part of this thing called the Motion Student Conference. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. And so I had one major issue. The plates on my Toyota Yaris 2005 is in the parking lot. I know you're jealous. They were expired, and MARTA was closed. So I had the choice. Do I go to Alabama on expired tags and risk being put in some Alabama prison never to be seen again? Or do I take the 1617 sticker off of this trailer that has been paid for and I put it on my license plate? Knew at the time that it probably wasn't the right thing to do, but it seemed like the necessary thing to do. I would learn in a couple of weeks prior to that it's actually a felony to do that. And I learned that as I was being booked into the Wilson County Jail. This is how the story goes. I am taking food to shut-ins. I have the same sticker that belongs on the trailer on my car. Cop behind me randomly runs my tags. My tags say expired. My sticker, however, says that my tags are good. That is a Class E felony, also known as tampering with government property. I know. Next thing you know, I'm in handcuffs in the back of the car being taken to Lebanon, Tennessee. I get to the jail. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I'll just tell you these few details because they are very important. I get to the jail. At the time, I was a teacher. I was a chaplain, and I was a pastor of a church. And so I get to the jail. I have a pullover of one of the high school teams that I was chaplaining on. They said, hey, when we take your mugshot, guess what, buddy? It becomes public record to be shot out on the internet for everybody to see. I was like, awesome. I'm going to take this pullover off really quick. There's one problem. I only have a wife beater on underneath it. That's a tank top, for you that are wondering. I have a mugshot with me and a tank top on it. If I like you a lot, I might show it to you, but I'm not seeing anybody in here that I like a lot. So, went like this. I had a pair of jogging pants on as well. They said, hey, Mr. Carey, do you have any shorts on underneath those jogging pants? I was like, well, actually, I do. They were like, well, the rule here is that you can only have one layer of clothing on, so you have to take your jogging pants off. I said, hey, my shorts are neon green running shorts that hit me about mid-hamstring. They're like, we don't care. So now I'm walking around jail in a tank top and neon green running shorts with a Class E felony hanging over my head. They put me in cell block H8. I meet two good friends there. We begin to have conversation. They said, what are you doing here? I said, man, you know that sticker on your license plate? They're like, yeah. I was like, you can't take that off of a trailer and put it on your license plate. Obviously, that's a felony. They're like, that's the dumbest stuff I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, I know, right? I'm like, what did y'all do? They're like, we just tried to strangle our neighbor. I'm going to go sit on this bench for a minute. I'll holler at y'all in a bit. Ends up, we became pretty good friends. We sat against the wall and threw wadded up toilet paper into the toilet for about 5 hours. Still talk to those two guys today. It's an unbelievable story. Here's the moral of the story. Remember, I'm a talker. I get out. They set my court date. They send me on my way. I have to get in the car with my wife, which that was an unbelievable experience. I'm instantaneously getting phone calls from all the people that I work with, from all the people that I have a relationship with. They're all telling me how disappointed they are in me, how dumb I am. You know, it's really a low moment in my life. The next day, I get a call from a lawyer. This is what the lawyer tells me. Hey, John, listen, I got good news and bad news. Let's start off with the bad news. You okay with that? I'm like, shoot, yeah, Chief, shoot it. Looks like you've been charged with a Class E felony. That carries 3 to 8 years in prison. I said, man, I took a sticker off a trailer that's been paid for. He's like, I know. He's like, here's the good news. You can apply for judicial diversion, and you'll only have to be on probation for 2 years. I'm like, I can't be on probation for 2 years. Like, I'm supposed to be in schools next week, and they don't, it's just not going to jive. He's like, well, those are your two choices. So I hang up on that phone call, and I'm telling you, I am at an all-time low because I think everything that I've ever worked for, everything that I've ever aspired to be, the God's plan for me, I've somehow managed to mess it up. The next phone call was a guy. At the time, I was teaching 2 leadership classes at transitional schools for Metro Nashville. Here's what a transitional school is. If you have a zero tolerance offense at a public school, they will send you to this place called juvenile detention. Some people have to stay in juvenile detention for quite a long time until they age out. When they're about to age out and they cannot be put in a public school, they send them to a transitional school for people like me and you to help them transition out. And so I'm teaching a leadership class. I've been doing it for quite a while. I get the phone call from the principal of the transitional school. He said, hey, man, these kids are fired up about your class. Like, I don't know what you're doing, but just keep on doing it. He had no clue that he was now talking to a felon. I said, man, look, I'm not going to be able to be there Monday. He's like, what do you mean you're not going to be able to be there Monday? And then I run through the whole story. And then he tells me this. He's like, I just got one question for you. He's like, do you actually believe what you're telling these kids? He said, because all year you've been telling them it's not your circumstance that defines you. It's not who you are right now, but it's who God knows that he created you to be, and that God can restore you, and that God can move you. And it doesn't matter what you're going through now. God has something so much better for you. Do you believe that? And I said, yes. And he said, I'll see you Monday. Then he said this. He said, let me tell you something, John. He's a brilliant man. He said, the world doesn't need to see you hiding, waiting to be perfect. The world needs to see you being restored by God during your imperfection. So I showed up that Monday, 16 young men. We presented the gospel message to them. 15 of them gave their lives to Christ that day. 15. And that's not even the best part of the story. The best part of the story is that now, 3 years later, that class is still going on being taught by one of those original 15 men. Don't you tell me that God can't restore you. And here's what that means for me. What that means for me is I got to quit sitting around waiting to be perfect. I got to quit sitting around waiting to be perfect and allow the world to see God restoring me, because that's what he's doing. We got to have people that are addicts, addicted to drugs, not sitting around waiting to be clean before they share their story, because there's power in their testimony, and God will use that. We got to have husbands and wives not sitting around waiting to have the perfect marriage before they reach out to someone that's in crisis. We got to have people like me and you. Like, I don't want to be a part of a church of people that are just sitting around waiting to be perfect, because that's not what the church is. The church is a group of broken people who God is actively restoring. And let me tell you the truth. His perfection is enough for me today. And I will be perfected in that. This is what David knew. David knew this. Psalms 51, he's reflecting on what Nathan, he had been caught with Bathsheba, the conspiracy to murder her husband. Nathan told him what he was doing is wrong, and this is what he said. He said, Lord, restore me to the joy of your salvation. What he's saying is, God, restore me to the relationship with you. You were created to be resilient, just like your children. But it begins with you allowing God to restore you, and it begins with you allowing the world to see that. That's what I desire for my kids. That's what I desire for my children. I desire for my children to sit in this room and to watch God move in the lives of his people. I don't care if my children sit in a room full of historical saints that think that they don't have things going on or not perfect. Like, I want my children to experience restoration. That's what I want for your children too. That's what I want for the children that I encounter every day. I have the joy of being around 1,000 kids every day. And I don't want to sit around and wait to be perfect. I want to let God's perfection shine through me. I made a mistake in first service. I'm not going to make it in second service because I learned from my mistakes. I left first service cliffhanging on what actually happened to end my story. So now they all think I'm still a felon. Some poor lady, elderly lady, came to me afterwards and said, "Now, have you had a background check here?" I was like, "Ma'am, I'm a teacher at a Christian school. Yes, everything is okay." A week later, all my charges were dropped. My record was expunged. I actually got to hang out with the police officer, and all is well. So all is good. God is good. So there you go. Next one is this. We'll pick up right where we left off with the 1 Samuel 17. It says this: "The Lord who rescued me from the claw." So this is David. So basically what happened after that is basically David's brother said, "Hey, you're prideful, you're deceitful. Why don't you go be with your sheep?" David's like, "Why are you doing this? Why?" Saul hears this conversation. Saul sends for David, and this is what David says, because Saul's like, "You know what? I don't think you're qualified to do this. I don't think you're ready. You're young. You're just a boy. Goliath, he's a seasoned war veteran. Like, he is going to destroy you." This is what David said: "The Lord who rescued me from the claws of the lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine." Saul finally consented. "All right, go ahead," he said, "and may the Lord be with you." This is crazy. The second thing I see in my children is this, is that they have a dependency that makes fear disappear. They have a dependency that makes fear disappear. There's no logical reason for David to want to go fight Goliath. David was probably 16, 17, 18 years old. He was a shepherd. Yeah, he had battled with lions and bears that were trying to get his sheep, but he had never faced anything like the giant. There was no logical reason for him to do it. And there was every logical reason for him to be afraid, yet he showed no fear. And it was because he had a deep dependency on his Father. All throughout David's life, all the things that you've learned, all the scripts you've read, there is one thing that is evident, is that he never went into any battle without talking to his Father first. And in that dependency, fear disappears. Because all fear is me and you putting our faith in something else other than God. So I put my faith in my own ability, and then I go do something that I don't have the ability to do, and guess what I am? Afraid. I'm afraid to step out. I'm afraid to share my faith. I'm afraid to do the things that I know that God's created to do, because I no longer put my dependency on him. I'm putting my dependency on me, and guess what? It doesn't work that way. And that's how fear is birthed. But dependency on God allows that fear to disappear. I see it in your children. I see it in my children. Can I give you the truth? Is your kids are not born with fear. They learn it. Because the world desires to teach them that. The world desires to paralyze us with fear. Your kids learn it. This is how it works in my house. I have a son, Mitchell. When he was 3, we would do everything together. We would do everything together. One day we were up in the upstairs of our house. It's a 2-story house. And we're playing. We're wrestling. We're having a great time. I'm like, "Buddy, you want to go?" His mom was gone, so we were probably like running around in our underwear. There's no telling what we were doing. I was like, "Buddy, you want to go get some ice cream?" He's like, "Yeah, let's go get some ice cream." I'm like, "Let's go get some ice cream." I head for the stairs. He goes and opens up the window and sticks his foot out the screen. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm going to jump out the window. It's quicker to get to the car." I'm like, "Buddy, you can't jump out the window." He's like, "Why not?" I was like, "Look." He's like, "It doesn't look that far, and you would never let me get hurt." He said that to me. He said, "You would never let me get hurt." Because he had a dependency on his Father, there was nothing that he feared. My daughter's the same way. My daughter is scared to death of the dark. She hates going to bed. She doesn't want to be in there by herself. But the moment that I come in there and I sit on the end of her bed, guess what she does? Right to sleep. Because when she is in the presence of her Father, there is no such thing as fear. And it's the same thing for David, and it's the same thing for me and you. It's like we can't sit around being scared. We can't sit around being scared of what people think. I talk to students about this all the time. I can't sit around being preoccupied about what people think about me. The only thing I need to be preoccupied with is what God thinks about me. And guess what? I know what he thinks about me. He loves me, regardless of what I've done. When you have dependency on the Father, your fears will disappear. Last point is this. Some of you just looked at your watch and were like, what? Last point? Don't worry, I got 13 closings I got to get through. We'll pick back up in the scripture right where we left off. Then Saul gave David his own armor, a bronze helmet and a coat of mail. Okay. Sorry. It's perfect. Don't worry. I'm a trained veteran. Okay. Now my nose is going to run. Then Saul gave David his own armor. David put it on, strapped the sword over it, and took a step or two to see what it was like, for he had never worn such things before. I can't go in these, he protested to Saul. I'm not going to use them. So David took them off again. He picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream and put them into his shepherd's bag. Then, armed with only his shepherd's staff and sling, he started across the valley to fight the Philistine. The one thing that I love most about David, of all the characteristics, is this, is he had a hope beyond reason for today. He had a hope beyond reason for today. It's crazy to think that he shows up, he has this conversation with Saul, and then all of a sudden, that same day, he is walking across the valley to face the giant. They didn't send him to training camp. They didn't send him to sling class. They didn't send him to face a giant 101. They just turned him loose and said, go get him. And the crazy thing about it is that David went because his hope was beyond reason for today. 2 weeks ago, I was running a football camp at school for all the little kids. And I noticed there was one kid just kind of sitting on the sideline. I knew the kid. His dad was one of the assistant coaches on our team, and he was just kind of sitting there on the ground. He was just kind of looking across the field as all the other kids were participating. So I kind of just jogged over there and kneeled beside him. I was like, hey, man, what's up? He's like, man, my dad is awesome. And I now realize he's looking at his dad. He's watching his dad coach. And I'm like, hey, yeah, your dad is awesome. He's like, no, my dad is really awesome. I'm like, I know your dad is really awesome. He's like, no, my dad is a superhero. Kids in like 2nd grade. I'm like, your dad is a superhero. He's like, yeah, if Superman and Batman had a baby, that would be my dad. I was like, if Superman and Batman had a baby, that would be weird, and do not ever buy that comic book. But yes, your father is a superhero. And then he said this. He's like, my dad's going to beat cancer. And here's the deal. I knew. And so what happened is like me and this kid have the same reality. The problem is that I have a different perspective, and my perspective is wrong. And his perspective was right. Because I could tell him all the reasons why he shouldn't think like that. I could tell him all the reasons why he should lose hope. As someone that at 7 years old lost his mother to cancer. But he had a hope beyond reason for today. And that's what I want to have. That's what I want to have. I can give you all the reasons. I can give you all the reasons why I should be hopeless. But I can give you one outstanding reason of why I should have hope for God to change the city today, and his name is Jesus. And that's what kind of church that we desire to be a part of. Because that's how it's supposed to work. The church isn't just a meeting on Sunday morning. The true church is the youth worker that all throughout the week is texting students, spending their own time, spending their own money, opening up their doors just to try to make a difference in one life. The real church is a small group leader who's opening up their home for broken and hurting people. The real church is the people that are watching your kids right now, desiring to make a difference. I don't want to be a Christian that lives his life waiting for the next big thing from God, waiting for the next conference, waiting for the next Sunday, waiting for Shane and Shane to release their next worship album. I want to be an everyday revival Christian that believes that I have the power to see God do amazing things because he is dwelling inside of me. And so that when me and Todd Griggs go to the hipster Waffle House known as First Watch, we can watch God do amazing things. When I go to Walmart, I expect amazing things to happen, not because I'm at Walmart, but because I have Jesus with me. It's easy to look at characteristics of David because we know the big picture of David. We can read 4 books in the Bible and know all about David, know every story, know what he did, know what he stood for, and we can pick out characteristics left and right. The problem for me and you is this, is we don't know the big picture for our lives. I don't know. It's amazing that I'm even standing here. Me and Devin first met, I was umpiring a 2nd grade kickball game. He'll tell you, like, I looked out there and I saw that leader and I was like, who's investing in him? I'll tell you that I was out there and then all of a sudden somebody in tight pants, a funny coat, and a hat came up and asked me what I was doing. This is a great testimony ever. Like, God sent somebody in skinny jeans and a blazer and a golfer's hat, and my life has changed forever now. All the while, I was just umpiring a kickball game. But I don't know the plans that he has for me. But I do know the plans that he has for me are good. And I do know that I have a hope beyond reason for today. I have a hope beyond reason for your children. The movement conference, the movement day is so important because let me tell you about that generation. This is what I believe about this generation. I believe that this generation is more intelligent than any generation to ever come before them, including mine. I believe they're more socially connected than any generation to ever come before them. I believe they're more passionate about any generation to become before them. And all they're waiting for is people like me and you to unite them behind a purpose. That's what this generation needs. They don't need just another church. They don't. They need a church full of people who desire something more from God today, because that's what God promises you. He doesn't promise that everything's going to be okay, but he promises that he will restore you where you're at. He promises that you don't have to lean on your own understanding, as it says in Proverbs. I said this in first service. It's so great. Like, Proverbs is an unbelievable book written by, like, the smartest man ever. I'm waiting for, like, Proverbs, the second Proverbs to come out, because Jonathan Crumb's going to be the one to write second Proverbs, because he's just as wise as Solomon. I don't care what anybody says. I, on the other hand, am going to write a book called Second Hesitations. Ramblings from a felon. I'm going to end with a story. I don't know how to parent my kids. I just do the best I can. And so I do believe this. I don't ever want to motivate my children with reward, but I don't ever want to motivate them with fear. I want to motivate them with my heart. Okay? And so there will be times that I love my kids enough that I will take them to Target. And I took my daughter to Target one time, and I had $8 cash. And I tell you, I'm an elementary and preschool teacher. $8 cash is a big deal. I said, babe, I got $8 cash. I want to give you that $8. You can buy anything in the store you want. She's like, why are you giving me $8? I'm like, I'm giving you $8 because your father loves you, and this is your gift. I love you enough. You get anything you want. What do you want? Shopkins. Dumbest toy ever invented. Little pieces of plastic about this big in the form of household appliances. Wishy-washy, Peter the Plunger. You know, it's just weird stuff. But that's what she wanted. I take her to the Shopkins aisle. I said, baby, I got $8. You can get something off of this rack, or you can get something off of this rack. She looked at him. All of a sudden, her eyes drifted off to the left. She said, Daddy, I want this. Shopkins Super Duper Market. $29.99. I'm like, baby, Daddy got $8. That $8 is your $8. This section. Yes, Daddy. Stares at him for a few more minutes. All of a sudden, her eyes look over here. Shopkins Super Duper Shopping Cart, complete with wobbly wheel. $49.99 for a shopping cart with a wobbly wheel. Baby, $8. This section. wishy-washy. She starts to cry. Don't say all. I have to get down on my knee and I have to tell her, I'm like, hey, listen, Shelby, I think it's time for us to go. She's like, why? I was like, because you're so focused on what you can have. You're so focused on what you don't have that you're missing out on the greatest gift that your Father wants to give you right now. The free gift that your Father wants to give you. You're so focused on what you don't, what you can't, that you're missing it today. I don't want to miss it today. I don't want to get so caught up in what's happening tomorrow. I don't want to get so caught up in what my life's supposed to be or what my life should have been or the person that I'm becoming, and I miss out on the greatest thing that Christ has ever given me, and it's the chance to have hope beyond reason today. And that's the type of church that I want to be a part of. That's why I'm here. So I want to be united with people who decide, you know what? Today I have the opportunity. Today, I have a hope beyond reason. Today, I am constantly being restored by the Father. Today, I want to have a dependency on Him. And today, I want to see our city turned upside down by a bunch of broke, hurting people that believe so much in the grace of Christ. Because that's what really matters. Stand to your feet this morning. I'm going to pray for you. And here's the deal. I don't think anybody's exempt from any of this. Like, I've been around people long enough. I've been around parents long enough. I've been a person long enough. Believe it or not, Todd, I am a person. You know what I'm saying? That was weird. I don't know where I was going with it. I thought something funny would come, but it didn't. It's how this brain works sometimes. It happens. But here's the deal. God's desiring to restore you. If you need restoration, God's desires to restore you today. If you're paralyzed by fear, God desires to take that away by allowing you to be dependent upon Him. Lay those things at His feet and see what happens. And let somebody know about it. And God desires for you to have hope beyond reason for today. And God desires to see you change your world. I believe that. And He desires to see us do that together. He desires to see the Lebanon, the Hermitage, the Mount Juliet area, the Nashville area. He desires to see this thing turned upside down. Not by one person, not by a gifted communicator, not by a great worship song, but by a group of people that are united behind a gospel that saves. That are united behind a gospel that transforms. And that is united behind a gospel that will set people free. It's not me. It's Him working in me and through me. Let me pray for you this morning. Dear God, we thank you. Lord, I thank you for this opportunity. God, I don't thank you for a job. I thank you for the opportunity to believe so desperately in your gospel to where I understand that you are fully restoring us today, Lord. And so, God, if we have something here, Lord, that we're holding on to, God, that isn't allowing us to be resilient, Lord, let us take a note from our children to know that you are in the business of restoring your people. So today that restoration is possible because of a choice that we can make. Say, today that I am going to be dependent on you. Today I'm going to believe in you. Today that I'm going to put my hope in you. I'm going to stop putting my hope in my bank account. I'm going to stop putting my hope in my job. I'm going to stop putting my hope in my ability, and I'm going to place it where it belongs, and that belongs on your shoulders. Because your shoulders is the only set of shoulders strong enough to hold it. I'm not. Lord, let us be dependent on you, God. Let us don't be paralyzed by fear. And God, let us make the most of today. Let us make the most of today because today is the only thing we have control of. Lord, we can't control what happened yesterday, and we're certainly not promised tomorrow, but for today, you have given us a reason to be hopeful beyond reason. And so, Lord, as we leave this place today, God, let your gospel go forward through the hearts of your people. Don't let us just sit around waiting to be perfect, waiting for next week, waiting for somebody else to say the right thing. Lord, you've equipped us. You say in Ephesians 2, Lord, that we are your masterpiece, created for the good works that you've already planned for us. Lord, let us be united behind that. And let us see our worlds changed. Let us see our children change. Let us see this generation of teenagers rise up and unite behind something of purpose, Lord, that we know is so fulfilling and will change the face of the planet. So we are believing in that and we are believing in you. And everybody says, amen.